Okay, so I fucked up my footage and now I need to re-record the whole video. So we're still in quarantine and still gathering useless knowledge about things I dislike on the internet. And today's actually a relevant topic. Sort of. Less relevant now that I'm re-recording. Now I have no idea what I'm going to put as the title for this video still, so you might be wondering what I'm going to talk about. Or maybe you already know because my title isn't totally clickbait garbage. Either way, today we're going to be talking about TV's talk show angel, Ellen Degeneres.
How dare you speak badly of Ellen? She's the nicest person ever.
Yeah, I can see why you would say that. She does come across as a nice person to a lot of people. But that's not exactly uncommon for popular assholes, is it? Case in point, Ariana Grande. Bullet points if you don't already know about her. She wished all her fans would die. She's known to be a serial cheater. She makes people carry her places. She's such a diva that her life coach had a mental breakdown and quit. And she refused to do the ALS Ice Bucket Charity Challenge because she didn't want to appear on camera without makeup. You know, the challenge that went around the internet where everyone poured ice buckets on their head in order to raise money, awareness, and also feel like this terrible, terrible affliction that people have to deal with. But God forbid you use your massive platform for good if it means you get seen without your makeup, right? I'm getting carried away here. Maybe I just hate celebrities, but honestly, they give me a lot of reasons to. If you want a full video on Ariana Fenty, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, Ellen's not the nice person you think she is, and today's video is going to prove that. So recently there's been a chain of events kind of painting Ellen in a bad light. But I think it's key that before we dive into all that, we take a look at some things from the past to sort of set a base for this argument. While this video was prompted by recent events, I made sure to take a look at some stuff that has happened over the last 10 or so years. To begin, actually, we're going to be going to 2010. Instagram had just been founded and vanity had yet to take over the world like a plague. The Winter Olympics are held right here in the Great White North. WikiLeaks changes the game for conspiracy theorists everywhere. And Songbird Supreme herself, Mariah Carey, is rumored to be pregnant. Ellen gets an interview and the world is glued to their seats as they watch the celebrity drama unfold. I'm clearly being facetious here, but this clip comes from a point in 2010 where Mariah Carey was rumored to be pregnant, but was still being very quiet despite the rumors. She, like many others, didn't want to discuss their pregnancy too early for fear of complications. But Ellen, oh, she's a clever one, she is. She knows how to find out anything.
People are saying that that you're pregnant. There's rumors.
Don't discuss that.
Let's just toast with champagne and decide.
But they've been saying that since I can have some champagne. It's just fattening. So,
you can't have champagne?
That's not champagne because you can't.
No, it
have
is.
Is it really?
Yeah. You want to taste it?
I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen.
What? I'm not going to ask you if you're pregnant or
This
not.
is peer pressure. Do you see what Ellen is doing? This is peer pressure.
Let's toast to you not being pregnant. If you're not pregnant, then we should.
Oh my goodness. Why would we toast to that? Okay, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
It's too early for me. I only drink it after 3 p.m.
You're pregnant. You're pregnant.
No,
you
I
are
didn't say that.
I can't be the only one who gets completely uncomfortable when I see something like that. Cringe is one kind of uncomfortability, but this is a whole different thing. It gives me anxiety just seeing someone like that. You can hear it in her voice and see it in her face that she's clearly irritated by Ellen.
Rumors.
Don't discuss that. That's not champagne because you can't.
No, it
have
is.
Is it really?
Yeah. You want to taste it?
I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen.
What?
Several times she makes excuses as to why she shouldn't drink the drink, hoping that Ellen will catch on. But Ellen doesn't know when to back down. Now, if you're still sitting there thinking it's not that big a deal to out someone's pregnancy prematurely, Mariah Carey suffered a miscarriage later that year. Now imagine if that happened to you. It's already terrible to have to deal with the sadness and disappointment of family members and friends. But because of Ellen, the whole nation is in on it this time. Celebrities have a hard enough time keeping their lives private as it is, and this is just another example of the media going too far. Okay, so next up we've got a clip that you might have actually seen because it's a bit more recent. Back in 2017, Ellen decided to set up a merch stand at her studio. She had all sorts of sweet Ellen merch, like cheap hats and cheap cups and more cheap cups and cheap keychains. So right off the bat, we can see Ellen is sacrificing a lot to be this generous. The only caveat is you can take one item only. She does this all under the premise of, even if no one's looking, you still have to be a good person. On that note, she starts by showing us a clip of this girl interacting with the stand and how that went.
So watch how honest this lady is right here.
Oh my God. They probably wouldn't know. I'll just buy this.
So she wanted it, but she said, I'll just buy this.
Isn't that just the right kind of wholesomeness to reinvigorate your faith in humanity? Following this, she shows us a clip of someone who was less than honest while interacting with the stand.
I mean, any of you could have taken more than one thing, and you didn't. Except for these ladies right here.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Then she goes back and she returns one of her stolen items and she switches it out for a hat.
Okay, she was a little less than honest. She grabbed a mug, a keychain, and a shirt. But what's Ellen gonna say? I'm sure she's got a humorous, lighthearted lesson for her audience in all this.
Hello.
The fuck? Let's dial it back.
What's your
My
name?
sister couldn't come, so that was her souvenir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A lot of people's sisters couldn't come.
Calm down, Ellen. It's a shitty piece of merch that you set up specifically to be stolen for your little bit. Which, by the way, is about to get way too personal.
So what is your name?
Nancy.
Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Look, I like that you like the product so much that you wanted to bring one back for your sister. Now, when you go, like, to Costco or you're the kind of person, like, when you go trick-or-treating and nobody's home, you don't just take you take the bowl. You just walk away. No. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing and everything, but, you know, let that be a lesson to you. You go sit in that Ellen jail over there right now. No, you'll steal stuff back there. Come here. What's your sister's name?
Anna.
All right, well, Anna got you in big trouble.
Snitch. But for real, Ellen, what the fuck was that? You just released this lady's name and put her on blast in front of your studio audience, millions of online viewers, and however many people actually saw the original broadcast, all because she stole a shitty little piece of merch to bring home for her sister nonetheless. Whether or not that's true, who knows, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt because it's a fucking keychain and a shitty little mug. You set this whole thing up at the end of a poorly lit room with no staff members to watch it and hidden cameras, while also only sending in a few people at a time. What's the term for entrapment when it's not law enforcement's and it also isn't a real crime? And you might be thinking,
no return of item.
well, that's because she's an actor. Yeah, it was later found out she has an IMDb page. It's more than likely that Ellen paid this person in order to make her bit hit a little bit harder. Just look at this lady's face closely as she gets on the chair. She's forcing a smile for the cameras, but I can't imagine how uncomfortable she is. It's like Ellen had a power trip here. I've had less embarrassing moments that made me want to disappear forever that I still think about to this day. I hope Ellen's happy though, because that merch sure as hell isn't going anywhere but the garbage now. So coming up on the recent controversies, we begin with a bit of backstory in January. A YouTuber by the name of Nikki Tutorials had an interview on Ellen's talk show. Being a big name in the YouTube beauty community, her recent coming out as transgender video had gone viral to the point of mainstream attention. She got invited to Ellen, and being a fan, she took the opportunity. The interview happened, and there were actually kind of a few really nice moments like this.
And it's hard because I don't know, it's only been a week, I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know where I fit in this magical world, but as long as I get to be myself and inspire little Nickies to be themselves, that's all I can do.
And you will. You will inspire a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for as many people as possible to be represented on television. And
Which, thank you for letting me be here, because I feel like if there's one person to get this message across globally, and you, like no other, know what it's like to come out, and just thank you for this honor.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
If she didn't speak out about it afterwards, you probably couldn't tell that this wasn't a positive experience for her. So in February, Nikki Tutorials had another interview, this time on a Dutch talk show. Even though the interview was unrelated, it was her first appearance on a major Dutch network since her video had gone viral, so they couldn't really resist to ask about it. This led to the Ellen interview coming up, and Nikki sort of let slip a few things about how she felt while she was at the Ellen studio.
Hoe was het bij Ellen Degeneres?
Nou, laat ik zeggen dat er een groot verschil is tussen De Wereld Draait Door en Ellen. En dan geef ik jullie het positieve handje.
Want?
Punt. Nou.
She claimed that Ellen was a whole different world and that she felt distant.
Nou, daar wil ik meer weten.
Nou ja, er zijn bepaalde... Kijk, bijvoorbeeld, het is wel heel leuk dat jij wel vooraf hallo komt zeggen en zo.
I don't even understand this from a business standpoint. Like, wouldn't you want to know the person at least a little bit beforehand? Like, go say hey to them in the green room or something? Anyways, you can tell she's definitely holding back what she wants to say. But luckily for us, she spilled a bit more in an article from Pop Crave. She said that the warm, cheery atmosphere portrayed on TV is actually a complete facade. Maybe I'm being naive, but I expected them to welcome me with confetti. Welcome to the Ellen DeGeneres show, but instead I got greeted by an angry intern who was a bit overworked. I expected a Disney show, but I got Teletubbies After Dark. Now I get that a confetti welcome is a bit much to ask for, but I've spent endless hours slinging coffee for strangers. All the while, big fat smile on my face. Whether or not it was real kind of depended on the day, but at least it was there. You would think that interning and meeting celebrities at a studio with the Queen of Kindness would be somewhat more tolerable than that. So Nikki also spoke about the disparity in treatment with herself and the other celebrities that were there. Every guest at Ellen had a private toilet, but I didn't. I couldn't even use the toilet closest to me because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers. I can't help but feel like this stems from the lack of respect that internet personalities get from mainstream media, but it doesn't really make sense when you think about the fact that Ellen texted out in excitement to have you there. But I have to hope for both our sakes that in real life this last line came out significantly less heinous. They were allowed, I wasn't, I thought, even though looking back, my interview got 8 million views while theirs only got 2 million. And there's the YouTuber entitlement. Anyway, her takeaway from this whole experience was don't meet your idols. As you can tell, she still has reservations about discussing most of the things, and I respect that. But due to her being a well-known influencer, Ellen was in the online discussion. So out of her hands now, the internet picked up the reins, and goddamn did they run with it. So to contextualize the beginning of this tweet, no, this is not the first time Ellen has been called out to supposedly not be the thing she portrays herself to be. But on March 20th, a tweet went viral from Kevin T. Porter that said this: "Right now, we all need a little kindness. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to LA Food Bank." Okay, first off, fantastic idea. Donations for exposing a shitty celebrity sounds like my cup of tea. Due to how viral the tweet went, he kind of lost track of how many people had actually responded, so he donated $600, and for that, good on you, sir. Now, obviously Twitter's not the most trustworthy place, but a lot of people replied to this tweet talking about the lunacy that goes on at her studio. To me, it mostly seems to be an issue with like the mistreatment of anyone she considers lesser, like interns and PAs. Here's a few of the stories that have been generally accepted to be true or that have evidence backing them. "I can't vouch for anything being real if it didn't happen to me, but this is as close as I can get. My friend who worked at Real Food Daily says Ellen came in and dined, and when she saw her server had a chipped nail, Ellen called management and tried to get her fired." Why do you have to take out your anger on a server? You make enough money to buy her life 10 times. Kathy Griffin said that when Joan Rivers died, Ellen staunchly refused to do a tribute with her because her comedy and Kathy's were, quote, "the wrong kind, too mean-spirited. We love a pious comic." So I looked this one up and actually found it out to be completely true. Basically, Kathy Griffin asked Ellen to join her in a tribute to Joan Rivers after her passing. She specifically wanted Ellen to be a part of it because at Joan's last meal with Kathy, Joan admitted to her that she was always hurt by the fact that Ellen disapproved of her comic style. But this isn't your average teeny bopper after school special. No, Ellen doesn't suck it up or do the right thing or help her friends. Instead, Ellen proceeded to cut off Kathy Griffin and shun her for the rest of time as well. And it's not the first example of celebrities not getting along with Ellen either, because if you're not part of the Hollywood elite, she couldn't give a single shit about you. Check this out.
It's good to see you. Happy belated birthday. When was your birthday?
It was October 4th.
October 4th. You turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of shit about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
Well, who doesn't want to be invited to a party?
Well, I didn't even know you liked me.
Of course I like you. You knew I liked you. You've been on the show many times, and don't I show like?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But I did invite you and you didn't come, so.
This time you invited me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How do you know? I don't think so.
Ask everybody.
I love that Dakota Johnson has the guts to call out America's collective lesbian aunt like that. I feel like Ellen's the type of celebrity to have so much hold in Hollywood that she's almost untouchable. My sister worked at the Ellen Show for 2 years. This is from her. "I saw Ellen in the hallways every day and would say hello, and she never said hello once back. She wouldn't smile, she wouldn't even acknowledge me at all for 2 seasons. My sister wants me to emphasize that Portia was always very nice. Yeah, that falls in line with the cold shoulder attitude I'm picking up here. That actually kind of goes with this one too. I once said hi to Ellen on the Warner Brothers lot because we were literally walking 2 feet from each other coming from opposite directions and she made eye contact with me. She rolled her eyes and proceeded to get into her Porsche. Oh, Ellen, so kind. Was working on a show at Warner Brothers that was next to her stage. Was our showrunner's 50th birthday, caterer grilling steaks outside for fancy lunch. Ellen sent someone over to demand they stop as she doesn't eat meat. She's the worst. Can she even do that? Like, it's a big lot. I'm sure there's lots of people who film there. So does she really have the amount of power to go to other stages and tell them what they can do? I mean, chill out. It's the man's 50th birthday. A new staff member was told every day she picks someone different to really hate. It's not your fault. Just suck it up for the day and she'll be mean to someone else the next day. They didn't believe it, but it ended up being entirely true. Now this one's kind of messed up. I've had poor relationships with bosses before. It can be really damaging for your mental health. Imagine walking into work every single day taking the gamble of whether or not you're going to be bullied. By your boss nonetheless. Knowing that if it's not you, it's going to be one of your colleagues getting the whip. These all seem like really simple HR matters, but I'm not surprised that when you're at that level, Warner Brothers really doesn't want to cut off their cash cow. Friend was a PA on her show, got their first staff writer job and put in notice. Instead of congrats, was told to give their Christmas gift back. I'm sure having an employee leave can suck, but if your motto is to be nice to other people, then wouldn't you want your employees to succeed? Why wouldn't you want your staff members to be successful in their careers? Oh, wait. Is it because you're a shitty person? This may have been shared already, but an intern I know said, should an intern enter a room Ellen is in, Ellen will stop what she's doing and look at the floor until the intern leaves. This one seems a little bit bizarre, but then we read this. Another friend of mine was a PA on her show, and when Russell Brand came into the employee break area to chat with the crew and hang out, Ellen came in and got mad at him, saying he didn't have to interact with these people. That's why guests have their own area backstage. The same tweet was prefaced with this. A friend of mine told me about a custodian she knew who was fired because he was slightly autistic and forgot he wasn't allowed to look at or speak to her, and he loved greeting everyone. Now, despite how horrendous that is, I do need to reiterate at this point that I cannot confirm any of these to be 100% true or false. As far as anyone's concerned, the majority of these are just hearsay. But this isn't hearsay. She shamed my entire culture for our staple food source, seal meat. We are Inuit and live in the Arctic where barely any edible plants grow. Here's an article summarizing Ellen's insensitivity towards an entire indigenous people, not just one ALFAN comment. She literally spent $1.5 million to send the message that we're barbaric. This one honestly could be a whole video based on her stance, the backlash, and everything in between, but I think I'm just gonna leave it with this one paragraph that describes the whole situation perfectly. The tagline #Sealfie versus #Selfie reflects the debate flawlessly, for there's nothing selfish or inhumane about cultural and physical survival. But there is something very selfish about a wealthy individual raising money to publicly shame a historically destitute population on their cultural practices. Let me be clear, we're not talking about a bunch of people going and clubbing seals for fashion. These are people who have built an entire culture on using the entire seal for the fur, for the food, for the fat. Not only that, but it's humane harvesting. They do it humanely and they harvest it all. But the vegan queen can't have that, of course not. Wait, did I say vegan? Because in 2018, you admitted to the chagrin of your fans that you actually eat eggs and fish. Now, I can't believe I'm about to use a vegan's argument here, but either it's all okay or none of it's okay, Ellen. No, I don't give a shit what you eat, but you can't pick and choose what life has value when you're going to take a stance so strong as to put $1.5 million against changing a culture's entire way of life. There's so many more stories to go through, but I think I'm just going to leave it here. If you want to check out the Twitter post, there's going to be a link in the description down below. So finally, we arrive at the thing that got me started down the rabbit hole that is Ellen's morality. Recently, articles have been coming out discussing how Ellen hasn't been paying her staff during the recent shutdown. Anonymous sources from the show came forward to speak about it. The core stage crew for the Ellen Degeneres show, consisting of more than 30 employees, received no written communication about the status of their working hours, pay, or inquiries about their mental and physical health from producers for over a month, said 2 sources, both of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity. Higher-ups in production would occasionally answer phone calls but reveal little. The crew was further incensed by the show's recent hire of an outside non-union tech company to help Ellen DeGeneres tape remotely from her home in California. So to clarify, Ellen and her producers went dark on over 30 employees during the beginning of the lockdown, then proceeded to hire an external crew utilizing the same skills that her own crew already had in order to erect her remote set. Now before you go ahead and think that's not so bad, go ahead and look at what she said during her first broadcast.
I wanted to start doing my new show as soon as possible because it's really for people who are stuck at home, and especially my staff and crew. I love them, I miss them, and the best thing I can do to support them is to keep the show on the air. So here we are.
That would be true if you didn't totally undercut them by hiring a non-union tech company to take over, wouldn't it? If you cared about your crew like you say you do, wouldn't you want to be communicating with them about what's going on? I don't want to speak for the several anonymous sources that brought this information forward, but I think if my boss cut my pay by 40% and then replaced me all without telling me what's happening, I'd be a little pissed too. Ellen DeGeneres is just another celebrity that hides behind a mask of kindness while actually being kind of a douchebag. I think the thing that always baffles me about this stuff is how the hell does it take so long to come out? I will admit I cut a lot of the older content to keep this video more relevant, but the evidence is right there to look at. Weirdly enough, I was able to find every single clip for this video on the Ellen YouTube page except for the Mariah Carey one. I guess you can play off most interactions as just being funny, quirky Ellen. But exposing a pregnancy using alcohol that later turned out to be a miscarriage is a smidge too dark for the Ellen channel, I guess, huh? Yeah. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed my first attempt at relevant commentary. Anyway, you know the deal by now. Like the video, subscribe down below, and leave a comment about what you want to see next. And totally don't call me out for the fact that I skipped my 50 subscriber special because I broke 60 before this video came out, and also delayed this video a lot. I'm gonna exploit you for the end of my video. Alright, I'll see you guys.